Hello, Internet. I'm KrissieDeathy, and welcome back to more story times. Now, based on the title, I'm sure you all know that this is going to be a heavy video today. And if you're not in that mind space for anything heavy, please go check out my other videos. I highly recommend my Pokemon and Sonic characters or Mermaid series. Those series are more wholesome and chill compared to what we're about to get into. Now, content warning for those still hanging about. The following will probably be mentioned: eating disorder, bullying, emotional, psychological abuse, neglect, and possibly a couple of other things. Now, let's set up a history of my homelessness, as that is what this video is going to be about. It was off and on, starting in about 2007 and ending in 2012. The first instance was the condo my mom and I lived in with mom's boyfriend. We moved in at the beginning of my 2007 year. In March of 2008, the condo caught fire. So that happened. We moved to Bremen, Georgia, into a small house, and my mom didn't transfer me to the school over there, and instead chose to drive me 3 hours back to Atlanta every day to send me to school. I was not given money for school lunch beginning around this time, and I was unable to pack my lunch most days. So this is about the beginning of the many issues and downfall of stability with my life. In August 2008, Mom transferred me to the school in Bremen, and I was there for about a week. They started around the last week of August, first week of September, and then shortly sometime in September, I was transferred to the school with my dad, and my mom sent me to live with my dad for a while. In August of 2009, I moved back in with my mom and her BF into the restored condo, and I don't remember when, but at some point, I think they broke up during this year, and I struggle to recall, where we lived after this point. I just remember my mom dropping me off and picking me up after clubs every day. I think this might be the first time we lived in the car, but I'm unsure. At some point, we moved back in with Mom's parents. I slept on the floor in the living room. Ines and his wife and Swy lived there too. I believe they had the 2 rooms upstairs. It was tense there, and I did not like that Ines' wife would just conk out on the couch while watching Twilight movies and leaving her children unsupervised, and it made me feel like I had to be the mature, responsible adult and watch them. And there was other issues too. We eventually left, and we lived in the car again. We often slept in Walmart parking lots close to gas stations that were 24 hours. Swy joined us, I believe, around this time. Mom eventually moved all of us into an apartment in 2010. It often didn't have electricity, and at a few points, no water. We spent a lot of time at Barnes & Nobles or Starbucks during this time. We eventually began living in the car again, though briefly, before moving into an efficiency behind the Big Chicken in Georgia. If you don't know what the Big Chicken in Georgia, it is a KFC, essentially, that has this giant chicken. It's kind of like a billboard, but not a billboard. It moves, the eye moves, and I think it had a wing that moved at one point. I believe they got rid of it now, but I lived around there, and that would have been ending 2010. It could have been 2011, actually, because it was my 11th grade year, my 10th grade year ending around there. So, yeah. So it would have been around the summer of 2011 when we lived there. I don't really recall how long we were there. I do remember my boyfriend at the time walking over to visit once, and we just kind of walked around the area. I'm not sure when. I think it was around the summer of 2011 or the end of my 10th grade year. But we were once again in the car, and eventually we broke into a recently abandoned home. Y'all, we lived in an abandoned house. And how we knew this house was abandoned and all that, that's like a whole can of worms. I'm not sure how to delve into that because of the legalities behind it. It was Mom, Swy's friend, and me living in this abandoned home. I later learned that the term was squatting. I was not privy to all the specifics, but my maternal grandparents had moved, and I guess the house had not sold yet. I'm not sure. Yeah, because it was my mom's parents' house. I guess they had moved and shut everything off, and then Mom had just moved us in there, even though, like, it was technically squatting and it was an abandoned house. And so, yeah, we just lived there for a while. There was, like, no electricity and no water in there. Mom took a small handsaw and physically trimmed tree branches off to burn them in the fireplace at night. We also gathered dry leaves and free newspapers to burn them in that too, just so we would have some warmth in there. We had, like, these giant 5-gallon, like, paint buckets set up outside to gather rainwater so we could use that for the toilets. I had to use my phone. I was given a cell phone at some point, I believe by my dad, because he was tired of not being able to get in contact with me. I had to use that as a flashlight and an alarm. My alarm sound was The Daughter of Evil by Rin Comigan, and Mom once said that I rose like a vampire to, like, this creepy laughter, which is how I remember that it was that one Vocaloid song. So I would go pee, unable to flush because the bucket of water was too heavy. I often wore 3 layers of shirts, a bubble raincoat, and 2 pairs of pants. I wore my shoes until, like, the soles began to fall off. I would gather all my school stuff and go to the garage, where I would exit through the slide-up car garage door. There had been, like, a small office room built down there, and I would, like, sit in that one, like, room until it was, like, time for me to go walk to the bus stop. And I would just listen to music so I could, like, de-stress and center myself. Yes, the room was freezing cold. Yes, it was dark as shit. But I wanted a space for me for, like, a few minutes. And I remember one day my phone had been softly playing music at school, and I didn't notice because, like, there's so much noise. I didn't notice until, like, a few of my classmates pointed out. I think the teacher asked why, and I had to explain the house was very creepy in the morning, so I played music, which is something I still do. And also, I have, like, this thing, I'll put something down and I'll forget where I put it. So I like having my phone constantly make some kind of noise, so that when I put it down, I can go and find it instead of having to go, hey, can you call my phone? I have no idea where I put it. So it's still a weird habit now. And I just don't like the silence of a house. Like, I often play TV or music just as background noise because the unbearable silence is just too much. At some point in the 2011 school year, we left this abandoned house. Not sure if we were back to sitting in the car again or what, but at some point we did move into a trailer in Hiram, Georgia, with Swy and another of Swy's friends. Mom and I sharing a room. I mainly remember starting the year I was at Marietta High, then I was transferred to East Paulding early on, and then I finished the year at Hiram High School. There was an incident between Mom and Swy and his friends while I was at my dad's one weekend, and the place became very tense. I think they did spice or something, and they freaked Mom out. And I vaguely recall her calling me while I was at my dad's, freaking out, but I was like a 17-year-old girl who was like 2 hours or so away and could do nothing. I don't know why she called me looking for help or what. But if you don't know what spice is, spice, I don't know if this is the official name for it, but it was the name everyone around me call it. Spice is the drug. It's a synthetic drug that is supposed to apparently mimic marijuana, so CBD, THC, but it is way weirder and it messes you up so much effing more. So, it's really bad for you. It was legal at some point, I'm not sure if it is, but I would recommend just smoking weed. I personally do CBD gummies because that makes me feel good. But Spice, it messes you up. It's like some weird trip that I'm just like, why are you on here? I don't even think you want to be here. So, yeah. So, for the rest of the time, I only lived with my mom in our room, with our bathroom, no bed, just blankets on the floor. It felt very tense, and I dared not go anywhere else in that trailer after that phone call. And then on June 21st, 2012, I was spending the summer at my papa's. And my papa is my grandpa, if you can't pick that up. It confuses some people, so I have to make that distinction. Papa is my grandpa. And Mom called me. She was freaking out, and she was being evicted from the trailer by Swy and his friends. I honestly wasn't sure what to do. There was nothing I could think of to do. And now, as an adult, there was nothing I really could do. I told Papa and Nanny about it as the news settled into my brain, and they were sick of this and told me since I was 18, I could just stay with them, and I transferred myself to the school there to finish out my senior year. 2 points of irony was that my dad had taken me to take my senior pictures at Hiram High School earlier that summer because they said you have to come in during the summer to do those senior pictures. And 2, my brother evicted our mother on her birthday. Let that sink in. It was her birthday. And since this is 5 written pages, I'll end this here. And this is the timeline of my experience with homelessness as I can recall and remember it. I'll attempt to write about what it was like living in the car experiences later on, since it was a lot. Until then, feel free to share your stories in the comments down below, or just leave a random emoji. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you next time. And many thanks, special thanks to my YouTube channel members, my Patreon supporters, my Ko-fi supporters, Kaleidoscope Chick, and Micah. You guys are awesome. Currently, since you're all here for the story time, thank you for watching and listening. Currently, there's some stuff going down with my current living situation. Actually, we're being harassed by the people of the mobile home community. And so I have set it up on my Ko-fi, a goal to raise the funds to have the down payment, so that we can move into a rented house or an apartment of some sort, because we live in Georgia, everywhere is expensive. We're trying our best, but there's a lot, and I can't deal with the toxicity of the mobile home community's kind of HOA bullshit, especially since we don't get to vote who these people are, and all these rules and guidelines they have. That's kind of annoying. So, yeah. If you want some art, feel free to donate. Tell me what you want, and we'll draw it during a live stream. So, yeah. Thank you all very, very much for being here. You're all awesome and wonderful, and yeah. Bye-bye!